Hello, my name is Michael Carlo. I'm a social studies teacher at a middle school in central New Jersey. Today we'll be looking at some theoretical perspectives and approaches to education and their applicability to various learning environments. This presentation is focused on the constructivist theories for teaching and learning. In the slides that follow, we'll have constructivism defined, we'll look at some philosophical underpinnings, leading proponents and thinkers connected to this way of teaching, and then see some strategies and theories aligned with these practices, and finally look at their applicability to face-to-face learning environments and online and blended learning environments. References follow at the end of the presentation. What is constructivism? Constructivism is a theory of knowledge proposing that learners generate knowledge and meaning from an interaction between their experiences and their ideas. Constructivism asserts that knowledge is interpreted and constructed as a result of mutual reflections and discussion. Constructivist educators believe that cognitive conflict is essential for building new knowledge. This methodology has had a powerful impact on teaching throughout the 20th century and into the 21st. Some philosophical underpinnings for constructivism. A classic philosophical principle has held that knowledge is an approximation of an independent reality, or a reality separate from the knower and representative of the ultimate truth. Constructivists, however, believe that knowledge is created by human minds. In this school of thought, knowledge is constructed by individuals through their experiences and is not necessarily representative of the real world. In a way, constructivism is a break with a classical philosophical idea, the notion of absolute or ultimate truth, existing objectively outside of the human mind. However, in its applicability to education, the goal is to maximize student learning and understanding through the engagement of natural processes for thinking, according to the function of the brain. A leading proponent for constructivism is John Dewey. John Dewey was an educational philosopher who worked in the late part of the 19th century and first half of the 20th. Dewey believed learning should be meaningful and connected to the real world. He stressed the importance of knowing the learner and the educational content for teachers. He believed in a process-oriented approach to teaching where background knowledge, activation, and application of new concepts are central. Dewey believed that for a learner to construct new information or knowledge, that which he already knew needed to be activated and utilized by an instructor and applied to an active learning environment that would be representative of the real world and prepare him for citizenship in America and success in life generally. A second leading proponent of this way of teaching, or supporter, is developmental psychologist Jean Piaget. Piaget believed that knowledge was true to the extent that it was viable and adaptive or useful. He concluded that learning should be active, both physically and mentally. Piaget thought that all learning was motivated by a desire to maintain a state of equilibrium. Followers of Piaget have refuted the notion that constructivism encourages relativism. Piaget had a great effect on the gamification of the educational environment that we've seen in recent years. He believed students needed to be active and collaborative, physically and mentally, in order to gain the greatest meaning in the learning process. In attaining a state of equilibrium, Piaget meant that when a learner's existing or prior understanding of a concept is challenged or changed, that he or she will seek to regain stability by working with or sorting out the problem at hand and gaining a new understanding. Another developmental psychologist whose work was influenced by and parallel to that of Piaget was Lev Vygotsky. Vygotsky believed learners acquired knowledge through interactions with others. He had a social or sociocultural theory of learning, emphasizing the roles of culture and environment on the development of individuals and families. Vygotsky identified the zone of proximal development and the need for scaffolding in the learning process. He distinguished between the construction of spontaneous concepts and scientific concepts. The zone of proximal development, according to Vygotsky, refers to the level at which a learner is pertaining to any subject or area of learning. Vygotsky believed individuals needed to be met where they were in the learning process, and that instructors should structure the learning process to help each learner raise his or her level of understanding and competency regarding the material to be learned. This is why scaffolding is central to the learning process. He distinguished between the construction of spontaneous concepts, meaning those that children or learners would construct on their own as a result of play and the natural process of working through learning, and scientific concepts, which are ideas which are proven to be helpful or true in a given subject that a teacher will guide learners to throughout the learning process. Some other modern practices and strategies which are closely aligned to constructivism include project-based learning and problem-based learning. Both of these methodologies often involve students starting from a question and working through the learning process through a series of steps or activities in order to investigate a high-level driving or essential question. Cooperative learning is often a feature of effective project-based learning or problem-based learning. Cooperative learning has students working collaboratively as they move through the learning process. Howard Gardner's theory of multiple intelligences brought to the modern learning environment the notion that different students have different strengths and challenges, which can be engaged and utilized to build maximum meaning in the learning process. Teachers who have an understanding of multiple intelligences know that some students are visual learners while others are audio or kinesthetic learners and beyond. Teachers who utilize constructivist practices build activities that engage all of these learning types and more, and allow for multiple means of engagement and expression in the learning process. The environment in which I work is a traditional brick-and-mortar school with more than 1,000 students. It would be considered a face-to-face learning environment. Constructivist teaching methodologies are highly applicable to traditional face-to-face learning environments. Classrooms must be designed in such a way that enables the benefits of this methodology. Students should have their desks arranged in a way that encourages collaboration. The space should feel open. Teachers should use visuals to effectively encourage the attitudes and behaviors common to constructivist practices. An environment that welcomes mistakes and engagement and in the learning process is best for this type of teaching. Students should be encouraged to express their questions, ideas, and discoveries to the benefit of themselves and all. Lesson structure is critical to this way of teaching. Teachers must design activities so that students' curiosity and background knowledge are engaged, but the meaning behind the activity is not revealed at the start of the learning process, but discovered and built by learners as they move through the activities. There are many opportunities for constructivism to be utilized in online and blended learning environments. Online learning could also be called distance learning because it has students engaged in the learning process from off-site locations utilizing devices such as computers, tablets, and smartphones connected to the internet. Tools that allow for collaboration between students and their teachers or instructors should be central to the learning process in online learning. Peer teaching is a key factor in constructivism in both online and face-to-face environments. Students should have the opportunity to collaborate, review, and critique each other's work to the benefit of all. In blended learning, the flipped classroom approach helps teachers to employ constructivist methods. In the flipped classroom method, knowledge is acquired by students primarily outside of the classroom setting. The classroom is used more for the practice of skills and knowledge under the guidance of a teacher. I hope that this presentation has been beneficial and that you are able to take away some ideas, inspiration, and knowledge connected to constructivist teaching that will be beneficial for you and your students. Thank you.